Hello,
And I
guys.
need to have lunch.
Oh, you do need to have lunch as well. Yeah, I like the fact that we just started the podcast there with you just saying you want to have lunch, Stanley. Right. Okay. Well, look, welcome
Great
to our
start.
second. It was a great start. Thank you very much. This is our second podcast that we're going to put onto our channel. And today's a special podcast because we have Stanley joining us and we want to talk about Stanley and Williams syndrome. So today in the podcast, we're going to be covering just a few basics, really. What is Williams syndrome and how it was diagnosed for us, and the day that we found out about Stanley. And also, Stanley sent us a couple of chats on the kind of questions he wanted to add in so that you got a bit of a spin on what Stanley will be thinking. So John in our family we call him Dr. T, basically, because his knowledge and things like that, he researches things within an inch of its life. So, John, tell us a little bit about Williams syndrome and how it got diagnosed.
So by the way, just on what you said there, we might be doing a specific Williams syndrome chat every other month, maybe, just to build up a diary for us and our journey, and Stanley, see how he's, because when I think back to, if we'd have started this 5 years ago and seen his changes, it would be miraculous to have seen it and look back on it. And for other people who are maybe just finding out their child's got Williams syndrome, because I remember back when we got Stanley's diagnosis, all the way back in 2013, it would have been, there was nothing. You know, he was four weeks old, and the Dr. Pandya called us, didn't she, and called us in. We didn't know what we were walking into. We just knew there was something that she had to tell us, so it's probably going to be quite serious. I mean, obviously, you're thinking, is she about to tell us that your son's not going to live very long? You know, that we did not know, because she wouldn't tell us anything on the phone. So there's nothing. You put it into you hear the doctor say Stanley has Williams syndrome, which you've never heard of ever. So
It was,
it was a
yeah.
shock. It was a massive shock. You look on the internet. I mean, it was awful, really, because there's nothing out there on it because it's so rare. The doctor gave you a printout that she'd just printed out from the internet, because although Nikki Pandya is amazing, she can't be an expert on Williams syndrome. And in fact, the experts of Williams syndrome are parents, because you're the ones that are living it every day. GPs themselves,
not only
the
that,
stats
but
are something like 1 in
everybody
35 see someone with Williams
but
syndrome.
everybody's Williams syndrome journey is very different. I mean, the prognosis we got given straight away was he might not walk, he might not talk, he's not going to eat very well, he'll be peg fed, poor muscle, tone.
The internet is just the worst place to go.
Yeah, it was such a bleak sort of, I know, look how strong you are now. And, I think for me, I mean, we're going off on a tangent actually, but for me, I really, really was totally shocked that was all that was out there, and I fell into I was really upset about it. And John ended up being like my absolute rock, because you worry about all the things that you've been told, and then actually it's been a pretty amazing, wonderful journey so far. We've had awful episodes, I mean, some absolutely terrible dark times, which we will cover on, but let's get back to what is Williams syndrome.
Yeah, sorry, if I could just, so specifically, so Williams syndrome is it specifically affects chromosome 7, and there's a bit of DNA that's missing around the elastin gene. There's I think there appears to be between 19 and 25 specific genes on that area of chromosome 7. I think to tie it down, it can vary a little bit between people, but that's essentially what it is. You're missing the elastin gene on chromosome 7. Now, up until only about 15 years ago, it was diagnosed slightly differently. There was a test done. It was called a fish test, but that's now been been outdated. It's now outdated because there is now specifically the genetics test which can find it. And even before the fish test, it was done via just observing the patient with facial characteristics and other things going on. So it was very primitive in the early days. I mean, Andy, who we know, who's 55, is he? He went to school without any diagnosis. He got put in a typical school, and I mean, the thought of that for young kids back then going to normal school. I mean, Stanley has a lot of extra needs, and placed in the right environment, Stanley has excelled, and that's one of the things that the Williams syndrome is a very broad, general development delay condition, which, as Danielle said, there are so many peripheral issues as well. It could be around fine motor, it can be around eating. There are lots of things, and that's why the Williams syndrome specifically is an odd one, because there isn't a book that says your child's going to be like this. We've met at least 30 people now with it, and they're all very different. They've all got some similarities, but they're all also very different.
I mean, my favourite has got to be when we went to we organised our first picnic, and we came across one of Stanley's friends, Layla. Now, Stanley, you absolutely adore Layla, don't you? And Stanley was like, God, doesn't Layla look like me? And we were like, yeah, she does, Stanley, because Layla has Williams syndrome, and so do you. They have these beautiful... Go on, Stanley. What does Layla...
Yeah, tell us about Layla. What do you think about Layla?
And I'm finding my own tribe, my own syndrome, my own friends.
You are?
Yeah.
Tell us about Layla.
Like at school as well. But yeah, tell us about Layla.
Basically, Layla's got glasses and I have glasses now, so that's good at least, so I can see properly. And it's just really nice to be alive and get to go to different places.
So, what specifically about Layla do you like?
Yeah, tell us about Layla.
That she's
just
really
one thing.
funny.
Just one thing.
She's really what?
Funny.
She is really funny, isn't she? Right. So yeah, we've been in contact with lots and seen and met, and we've done picnics and things like that. And we're hoping, and a Christmas party last part of last year. And it was really nice to see the different stages, I suppose, of Williams syndrome. And yeah, everybody's journey's been different. Stanley had open heart surgery at 15 months old. And I remember that.
We'll do that's a big deal, and a lot of people have probably been through that. So we'll do a specific episode for that. But yeah, at 18 months, he had a 7-8 hour surgery on his. But yeah, that's a really interesting topic.
Yes, you were alive at that point, but you had a poorly heart.
Yeah, you were, Stan.
Yeah, so I know, goodness me. So you had to be operated on.
We'll have to show pictures, and yeah. Fortunately, Stanley was very young and doesn't remember it. Stanley, you don't remember it, do you?
No, I don't really, but all I know that I have a family now that supervised me, that they're all right with me in my home.
Yeah, we're all right with you being here. Stanley.
It's one of the good, safe places in your entire life, because when you're born, you're going to be in the house that you were born in.
Well, more than likely, you're born in a hospital, and then you
weren't born in this house.
Yeah, and then you come back. But so Stanley,
do not touch that, Stanley. Those magnetic balls, are they not tangled? Are they?
No, they're not tangled.
No, they're not tangled.
Stanley, okay. Now, do you remember? Let's get some of your questions. So let's get back on track. Can you remember what you sent me today on voice note? What was the question you sent me?
So what is it like to have a Williams syndrome boy?
Well, I can tell you.
Good question, by the way.
Yeah,
I can't believe, Stanley, that's an excellent question. When Mum told me that you come up with that one, that is fab.
I loved it. As soon as I was like, oh my goodness. Well, Stanley, I can honestly say, having a Williams syndrome boy, it fills me with absolute love and adoration every day. It does not matter what I look like, what I'm doing. The love that pours out from you towards me is just all encompassing. You make me smile. You make me very happy. And I look at you and I just think, wow, I've made that, and he's incredible. Honestly, you're just the bomb, the absolute bomb.
And
Yeah,
do I
you
get a turn or
do.
not?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You get a turn,
So
definitely. Go on.
obviously, very similar to mum, but you definitely do prefer mummy cuddles and daddy cuddles, which is fine.
Yeah.
So you probably don't give me as much love and attention as you do mummy, but that's normal. I don't think any boys like that. But so one of the things with Stan, and I didn't think this was going to happen, but after about 5 or 6 years, and when I started looking back, Stan, what you have been one of my best teachers in life about what's important, the way we look at the world and the way human beings interact with each other in the world. You have taught me so much and made me think about things very differently. And I'm definitely a better person for having you in my life. So and I didn't think that was going to be the case. When I think back to younger, I was just worried about you and how you were going to, get on. But wow, you've been one of my best teachers ever. So that's very cool.
That's so. Are you talking about me or Mum?
No, I'm talking about you, buddy.
That's good.
The way
That is good.
you have taught me about, the interacting with other people and how we look at each other and how we just behave with each other, and all of the things you make me think about. It's just so off the charts and different. If I hadn't have had you, and I'd have had like a typical boy. So you've definitely made, and you've enriched me and mum just amazingly. You've been hard though, don't get me wrong, especially in the first few years. You were very difficult.
I was a
Very difficult.
You were a nightmare, Stanley.
I was a horror nightmare. I was.
And then Stanley, you also sent another voice note to me. So by the way, Stanley loves voice notes. Obviously, it's incredibly easy to send what he's thinking, everything, but he can actually type, and he can type on a computer really well. He had put, what is it like spending time with Williams syndrome people? And again, what an absolutely fantastic question, because Williams syndrome people are very unique. And when I look back at the picnics that we've had with different adults, very often the conversation turns towards them. And you could have a leg falling off or have fallen over and grazed your elbow. They'll be right there. Oh my goodness, are you okay? And as soon as they know you're okay, they'll be like, I'm all right. I didn't fall over on that step. And it very quickly, they make sure, they're okay. They are very good at recognizing your facial expressions.
Yeah, your emotional state.
So
yeah,
if you are,
and without
not,
getting too geeky, that's because of the amygdala. There's a part of the brain that facilitates our ability to see other people's emotional state. It's called the amygdala. It's and in people with Williams syndrome, is actually observably bigger than typical people. So that's why they are. Often teachers will say, "God, Stanley, as soon as someone's hurt themselves, don't worry about the phone stand. As soon as someone's hurt themselves, they're the first ones to go and comfort them and check they're all right." And it's lovely to see it happen in the moment as well. They're very, very caring.
We actually had
one of the things I was going to say. Go on.
I was going to say we actually had an actual real episode with that on Friday night when we went out for dinner. My auntie Jill was out at dinner with us, and she brought her friend over to the table who was very shy and looking down, and Stanley noticed her face and was like, I need to go and do that. And he went, excuse me, is it can I ask you something? And the lady looked really worried, didn't she, Stanley? And you were like, you look really worried. Are you okay? He just has to go and find someone and make sure that they're okay. So you've really got to, if you wear your emotions on your sleeve or on your face, you are probably going to be targeted by Stanley and like, why are you so happy? Or why are you so sad? And you what? Sorry, Stan?
And it's all up your sleeve.
Oh, very concrete thinking there, Stanley. Yeah, it's not. She doesn't quite. Go on, John.
Can I throw something in about the? So it's not all rosy though, because this is about being with people with Williams syndrome. Is that right? Are we still on that
Yeah.
slightly?
Yeah.
They stand. One of the things, because it can't all be wonderful, because we all know that it's not, and having normal kids, it's not all wonderful. But Williams syndrome people in particular do. Well, Stanley, let's specifically stand concentration levels. Sometimes I do get a little bit frustrated, don't I? That if we try and get you engaging in stuff. So that is quite a trait that we do work on with you, don't we? Trying to get you to just stick to something a little bit longer each time you do it, and whether it be drawing or maybe writing something or making something or riding your bike or your scooter, you wanna change direction quickly, don't you? You want to, I don't mean literally left or right, but you want to do something else quickly because you get bored, don't you? You get very bored. But we are
That's
working on you with
true.
that. So that's one thing I would say that is something that is a little bit difficult sometimes. But there are so many lovely things, but I didn't want us to go through them all now. We can do that another time.
Yeah.
No problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
So
Good boy.
So this was really just the first episode on Williams syndrome. We just wanted you guys to meet Stanley and to hear him, see him speak. It's only going to be nice and short, just it keeps his attention span, which we've literally just touched on. And also, I just think if we had had something like this when we first got the diagnosis of like a couple of parents and a child, you know, it's not doom and gloom. It's scary and it's different, but actually, you know, we've had a very positive journey. We have had, like, we will touch on the darker times that we had in those very early stages, but it's absolutely worth it. It's a completely unique, beautiful syndrome to have, and we do feel incredibly blessed to have Stanley in our lives. So I wish there was a podcast out there when we first got his diagnosis.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It is. Let's not be. It's tough, and you know, everyone's got. It's tough. Life is tough, but
Everything's
we wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to just start. Yeah, we wanted to just share the experiences, because it just helps, doesn't it, Stan? But we've got so many things that we want to speak about that you've done already in your life that have blown us away and makes us so proud. That is the key with anything. It doesn't matter what your condition is, or even if you're normal. Just take yourself out your comfort zone and do
And that is
things.
manageable. That is the
That
best
is
ride activity.
Well, we will talk about that on another episode, mate, because that is a great example.
That
Well
will be
done.
Stan's
That is a great
greatest
example.
achievements. That will be that podcast, Stan's greatest achievements. Yeah. Well, look, guys.
It was so fast for yours.
Yeah, it was very, very fast. But look, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for our Williams syndrome first episode. We hope we've enjoyed. We hope you've enjoyed it. I know Stanley was very, very excited.
Don't get out.
He was very excited about having a podcast and being able to speak on it and get to know people that are going to join and tune in. So again, thank you very much for listening. Stanley, do you want to sign us off?
Yep, thank you.
Wait, Mum, I've got one more question for you.
Oh no!
No.
I tell you what, you can write that down.
We need to cut
We're
this off.
going to write that down, and we'll do it on the next podcast. Okay? So, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, we'll start with your question, so everyone knows it. A bit of a cliffhanger.
Bye.
See you,
See
bud.
you later, and thank you very much. If you think this is something that you would like to carry on listening to, please think about subscribing to our channel so that you can get our future updates. Thanks a lot, and bye.
Comment down below.
Yeah, that's a great one. Comment down below.